What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Peanut Gallery Podcast, episode 30. Seth, how's it going, man? Nice setup there. It's a little bit different this time.
Yeah, so I'm on vacation this week. But, dude, it's been such a great week, man. We hit 100 subscribers on YouTube, which is awesome. Thank you guys so much.
It's awesome.
And we've actually been getting a lot of traction and great conversation with our Evergreen video, which I encourage you guys to check out if you haven't. I'm just like, it's been such a good week.
Yeah, no, it's been awesome. And nice flag, by the way.
Yeah, so I forgot my flag, but I did bring my American
swim trunks.
Swim trunks
swim
or
trunks.
board shorts. So it's kind of like the same thing, right?
Listen, man, we are dedicated, all right? You're on vacation. We're using a bathing suit as a flag. We're still here bringing this video out. I think that's pretty cool.
The highest of quality.
The highest of quality. Well, it goes with PGP pretty well. All right.
How are you doing, man?
Pretty good. Yeah, pretty good, man. It's crazy around here. I get a lot of stuff happening to my house. They're ripping out countertops, putting in granite, keeping it updated and all that kind of stuff. So right now I have the only water that I have in my house comes out of my bathtub / shower. So I literally brush my teeth and rinse my toothbrush off in my tub.
That is
spit in my tub. It's great, man. It's a dream come true. I wash my dishes in the tub.
Next time I ask you how you're doing, you can just say fine. That's totally.
I understand this. All right, guys, if you didn't already know, this is the Peanut Gallery Podcast. This is the place that we provide completely unprofessional and insignificant opinions about the most important and significant topics of the day. I'm your host, Jared, and with me, as always, is Seth, and we're going to move right into what was nuts this week. All right, guys, we are back, and we're going to jump right into what was nuts this week. And as promised, we decided to kind of start off with actually a positive news story before the podcast inevitably declines into depression.
And anarchy.
And anarchy, yes. So we've got Rand Paul is introducing a bill. It's called the Sixth Amendment Preservation Act. He did a video kind of talking about what the bill is and what it's for, and here's a clip of that.
Well, we're excited this week to be introducing a law or a potential law, legislation that would stop the government from indefinitely detaining someone. This came about because, well, really, there's a long history. We detained the Japanese without trial, which was a form of indefinite detention back during World War II. Unfortunately, some of the courts even upheld this.
All right, so I think this is great. He kind of talks a little bit later on. If you want to watch the full interview, I would encourage you to do that. It's about 15 minutes long. But he talks about how Congress has tried to kind of reintroduce or introduce bills like this before. I think this is really important. As you mentioned, the Japanese were detained during World War II. The United States has done it before in various settings. And then, you'll just hear these stories where an individual every now and then, there's a few every single year that are just detained for years on end.
Let's talk about what is the Sixth Amendment in case anyone's not familiar.
Yeah, so the Sixth Amendment basically ensures all United States citizens to a speedy trial, and then where you can't be held unless you're prosecuted and your prosecutors come forward.
Wait, did you say U.S. citizens?
Yes, I did.
Dude, that
Triggered.
seems racist. It's Islamophobic.
It is Islamophobic. You're right. Should get rid of the freaking Sixth Amendment.
I think this is awesome. I think it's kind of weird though that we need to propose something to
that's already
continue
in there
to uphold an amendment. We get a Second Amendment preservation?
Well, because apparently they've created the whole legal term of detention, right? So you're not prosecuted yet. So you're not, because they haven't prosecuted, you're just detained. So they just hold you forever.
Oh,
so
gotcha.
it's not like you're under arrest.
Ish.
You're not under arrest yet because you haven't been prosecuted, but you're detained, so you can't leave. It's really stupid. So this bill would kind of eliminate that, which is awesome, I think.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Also, speedy trial. Yeah, right. That's a joke.
That does not happen.
Yeah. Speaking of
a joke.
Yeah, nailed it. Anyways, we got good old John McCain here gets seriously confused during the Comey testimonies. Which, by the way, if you don't know about those, living under a rock. But we're doing a video later in the week kind of about that, going more in depth on that. But here is a little clip of John McCain questioning James Comey during the Senate hearing.
We don't have to worry about it anymore.
With respect to I'm a little confused, Senator. With respect to Secretary Clinton,
yeah,
we investigated criminal investigation in connection with her use of a personal email server.
I understand.
And that's the investigation I announced the inclusion of on July 5th.
So, but at the same time, you made the announcement there would be no charges brought against then Secretary Clinton for any activities involved in the Russia involvement in our engagement in our election. I don't quite understand how you could be done with that, but not done with the whole investigation of their attempt to affect the outcome of our election.
No, I'm sorry. We're not, at least when I left, when I was fired on May the 9th, there was still an open, active investigation to understand the Russian efforts and whether any Americans work with them.
But you reached the conclusion that there was no reason to bring charges against Secretary Clinton. So you reached a conclusion. In the case of Mr. Comey, the President Comey, case of President Trump, you have an ongoing investigation.
Was he questioning Comey? It sounded like he was questioning himself almost. I
love how he referred to him as President Comey twice. And then you see Comey, he's like, no. And then John McCain corrects himself. Look, all I'm saying, dude, is I'm sorry, but 80 years old, it's a little bit old to be a senator. 80? He's 80, and he's not even the oldest senator. There's 6 other senators who are older than him. I think the oldest is like 83. I'm sorry, but you can't keep up with everything going on in the country and in your state and be like 80 years old and be a senator.
Sounds ageist, but
you know what? It's required. Dude, there's jobs that force you to retire at 65.
Yeah.
But yet you can be a senator, which is probably far more important than that. Well, maybe not.
Yeah.
But and be like 83
neutrality and stuff. It's great.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely insane.
But actually, like the next day, he tweeted out this saying, "Getting sense my questions today went over people's head. Maybe going forward, I shouldn't stay up late watching a Diamondback game." And it's like, you expect us to really think that you were just lack of sleep. Maybe you were. Maybe you just didn't sleep. But at the same time, like, this is probably one of the most important trials of your life, and you're going to stay up late watching a game? Like, I don't understand.
Also going over people's heads. Like, it's not like it went over our heads. It's just you made absolutely no sense. Yeah. My questioning was just so intelligent, and you people just didn't understand. No, it made absolutely no sense.
Yeah. It was bizarre, dude.
Yeah, it was really, really weird.
Should get an investigation.
Just more, he should be out. John McCain, not a fan. Anyways, also not a fan. Al Green comes out and says he's a representative from Texas. This guy's great. Anyways,
love him to death.
Yeah, super great. Here's a video of him claiming that Trump definitely did obstruct justice.
He made it very clear that he was going to fire Mr. Comey regardless as to what anyone else called to his attention. If no one else does, I will file articles of impeachment to impeach President Donald J. Trump for obstruction of justice.
All right, so like we kind of mentioned before, we're doing a separate video on this topic just so we can go more in depth on it, and then it also allows us to kind of cover a little bit more news so that the Comey stuff just doesn't suck everything out of what we're talking about this entire week.
Yeah, because it is very important, and we do want to get through it, but this is just mostly about the idea of wanting to impeach Trump, and it's like, I don't think there's any, like, there's no solid evidence yet.
Yeah, exactly. And the Constitution states in Article 2, Section 4, it says, quote, "The president and vice president and all civil officers of the United States shall be removed from office on impeachment for and conviction of," and then it says treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. So it clearly states there has to be a high crime, bribery, treason, or other misdemeanors.
And a conviction, like
and a conviction and a conviction of it, for it to happen. So Al Green's
and we're not saying he hasn't done these things. We're just saying it hasn't been proven yet.
Exactly.
Like we do not have
and it has to be proven.
It's very bad practice to be wanting to put forward impeachment before we have all the information and before there's actually any real conviction or anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not good. Not a fan.
Not a fan. But you know what, guys? We're going to move on into our Ramadan update, okay? So this is
every week.
Exactly. You have to laugh about it because if not, your blood will just boil. But anyways,
laugh about it.
Ramadan update. This is, if you don't know, this is the holiest time during the Islamic religion. I think it starts on like May 26th and it goes until June 26th. But I would say they're outdoing themselves from last year. Because
Unfortunately.
yeah, unfortunately, you have 950 people have been killed so far. Over 1,000 have been wounded. And this is just 16 days. This information was pulled 16 days into Ramadan. There's been over 70 deadly terrorist attacks. So, yeah, religion of peace, though, right?
We really need to have a big a video or something. We need to really get in depth on this because it's not saying all Muslims like this, but
no, absolutely not.
There's something there that needs to be discussed, and there needs to be a conversation about, because it's insane.
I mean, there's no denying that Islam itself has a problem with violence, right? There's no denying that. I mean, you look at these facts, you look at these statistics. I mean, according to the Religion of Peace, this is a website that keeps track of Islamic terrorist attacks. Over 193 attacks in 30 different countries has left 1,786 people dead and 1,826 people injured. That's in the last 30 days. Okay, so
not good.
Like we said, there's like 1.5, 1.6 billion Muslims in the world. There's a lot of them. It's the largest growing religion in the world. So we're not saying that all Muslims, or even a majority of Muslims, are like this and violent. However, if there's this many violent attacks and stuff, you don't see this with Christianity, Judaism, or any other religion on the planet.
Right.
And it's because there's a fundamental problem with that. But like you said, yeah, we need to go kind of more in depth on that and talk about that and explain that.
But it sucks, dude.
Yeah, no, it sucks. Oh. And what also sucks is people not talking about it and not willing to face the problem at all.
Yeah, because they just slap on, oh, you're Islamophobic. It's like, no,
you're Islamophobic,
there's something
you're racist.
Here.
Yeah, no, you have to talk about this stuff. I'm sorry, but when the London police chief comes out and says that, what makes our city so great is that the victims of the London Bridge terror attack were so diverse. That's what makes London great. It's like,
dude.
Are you kidding me? You can't write this stuff, man.
Yeah.
It's insane.
So he was praising the diversity of the people that were murdered. I guess
it's a she, actually. I mean, sexist.
Oh, sorry. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Jeez.
Sexist. No, but I mean, I guess I think it's just more of a bad taste than anything.
It's just like you have to have some common sense. I mean, that's not really the right timing to say that. Yes, diversity is cool. Yeah. Diversity is good. Diversity of thought really is what matters anyways. But, that's fine to come out and say, I'm glad our city and stuff like that is so diverse. But when you say that after there's been a terrorist attack, when allowing a ton of diversity unchecked allows these people to come in and then commit these mass, slaughter terrorist attacks, it's just really, it shows a huge lapse of judgment in order to do
something, dude.
But it's not really affecting the UK people, man. I mean, if you look at the election that just happened this past week, it's not like the people spoke out and the Conservative Party actually lost a significant amount of seats and the Labour Party gained a lot of seats.
Yeah, well, didn't Theresa May's Conservative Party, right?
Yeah.
Didn't she call this snap election?
Yeah, she called. So what happened after Brexit happened, right? After the people voted for Brexit, she felt that she had a lot of traction and stuff like that, and to further their majority, because they had a majority in Parliament then, and so her thinking was to further the majority, get even more of a majority, she can call a snap election where they vote again. And it didn't turn out well in her favor at all.
No, they barely won, right?
Yeah, well, they lost their majority, which they had. They're at 48% now. The Conservative Party has about 48.9%, and then the Labour Party has 40%. So in order for them to pass legislation, because the Labour Party isn't going to join with them at all, they have to join up with, I think it's the Scottish, or the Scottish Nationalist Party.
Okay.
In order for them to get a majority. But anyways, yeah, it didn't turn out well in her favor at all, and I'm not that big of a fan of Theresa May anyways. When you say conservative there, conservative here, I mean left right over in Europe is completely different than left right over here. But anyways, it just
and again, the stupid labels they're dumb and they're useless. Like, I don't know. Because people will be like, "Oh, conservative," and then they'll just match the two up, and you're like, "Well, they have different."
This conservative and this conservative are completely different, or this liberal and this liberal are completely different. Yeah, no, I agree. It's interesting though that within the mix of all of these attacks and stuff like that, you would think that would help Theresa May and the conservatives, right? But I mean, not not really. The people kind of spoke out against that.
Except not at all.
Except not at all.
Yeah.
But, speaking of immigration and diversity, the United States is killing it.
Yeah, dude. Actually, I was very surprised when I read this story, man. So, big news. Not big news, but illegal immigration is heavily down in the United States compared to this time last year. So this time last year, there were about, from February through May of 2016, there was about 188,000 people caught attempting to illegally enter the United States from Mexico. During the same period in 2017, there was only 76,000. Now, at the same time, though, I was just thinking, I don't know if this necessarily means that there's less people trying to immigrate, or that we just got really bad at catching them. So, who knows? I mean, what?
I was going to say, with the increased amount of border security and stuff like that that's down there now, I wouldn't assume that that's what it is. Maybe people are just thinking, like, they're not trying to come across because there's
to Trump.
Exactly, right? Who knows?
Which I'm not going to say that's a bad thing in this situation. I think it's great.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I don't understand anyone that thinks that we should have illegal immigrants. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, like some of my teachers.
Jeez, dude,
Yeah.
you have
It's undocumented, by the way, and the flag.
Oh, does it hurt their feelings by calling me illegal?
It hurts their feelings. Yeah, it makes them feel excluded. Like
Good.
it's like there's a law that says you can't be here. I mean, come on,
dude. I think that. I mean, yeah.
Forget about it.
I don't understand.
Yeah. Well, that's a good thing. So 2 good stories. I think that's pretty solid, man. I think we did a pretty good job.
2 out of what? 8,
Yeah.
6? I don't even know.
2 out of 7. That's
All right.
That's an A.
It's a majority, right?
Yeah, math.
I'm not a math.
All right, guys. Well, that is going to wrap up What Was Nuts this week, and we're going to move right into the main topic. All right, guys, we're going to move right into the main topics this week. My topic, I wanted to talk about a little bit Puerto Rico and the territory. They just recently, yesterday actually, at the time of this recording, voted for statehood, which, no shocker. I mean, the United States is great, right? But when I say they voted, actually only 27% of them voted, which is interesting.
Yeah, it was such a low turnout.
Yeah, it was. But we'll kind of talk about it later in the other times that they voted and the referendums that they voted in. But just a little bit, Puerto Rico is a United States territory. They have been ever since 1898 after the Spanish-American War. Something interesting about U.S. territories is Puerto Ricans are United States citizens and they use U.S. passports. But if you choose to live in Puerto Rico, you can't vote in United States elections. So that means
and you don't pay income tax.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they do not pay income tax. They pay federal taxes.
Well, I know where I'm moving. No, I'm just kidding. But it's interesting because if you move from Puerto Rico to the mainland, then you can vote, or vice versa. If you move from the mainland to Puerto Rico, then you can't vote anymore. So it's strictly based on the location. But so this has been the 5th time since 1967 that Puerto Ricans have had the opportunity to vote on what happens with the island, basically, and they can either choose statehood, to remain a U.S. territory, or independence. And back in 2012, which had a lot higher turnout rate, over 77% of Puerto Ricans came and voted in 2012, and 61% of them chose statehood, while 33% of them voted to remain or to be a sovereign kind of free nation. Yeah.
Well, so okay, so they technically won the vote back in, what do you say, 2012?
2012. We should preface this basically means nothing. This is just telling Congress that Puerto Rico wants to be a state. Congress can choose to do nothing with it and nothing will happen. So Congress is the final say. So Congress would have to proceed with hearings and to write legislation to adopt them. And as a state, it would need a supermajority to pass. And yeah, this basically just says that Puerto Rico is okay with it, which we've known that already. But yeah, that's basically what's happening.
What do you think? Do you think they should be a state?
I don't think they should be a state. I think the notion of U.S. territories is interesting because it's weird that they're U.S. citizens and they have U.S. passports, right? And so they can come and go from the United States as they please, right? They're U.S. citizens. I think that's
Yeah.
weird. I get the idea of having a territory because it establishes, I mean, obvious trading partners, and then you have, you know, an economic interest in that region. We protect them militarily, of course, even if they weren't a territory, we still protect them militarily because that's what the United States does.
Yeah.
But a number of reasons. I think that their economy is terrible right now, so it wouldn't be in the best interest for the United States to adopt them. They're in a 10-year recession. They have like a $73 billion deficit right now. They have super high unemployment, and their per capita income is less than half of what the United States is. On top of that, if they become a state, they then would have, judging on the population size, they would have about 5 seats in the House of Representatives. They'd be guaranteed 2 federal senators, as all states are. And I mean, those would predominantly all be liberal, leftist, Democratic seats that would go in.
Yeah.
So that's basically what would happen if they become a state. But like I said, it's all up to Congress. But what do you think about it?
I think they should. I mean, in the idea that I don't like the idea that we have, basically like levels of citizenship. Like, yes, you're a U.S. citizen, but you can't vote, and that, I mean, like, why if they weren't citizens and they were trying to become citizens and become a state, then I think it's a different conversation. But at this point, I don't understand why they wouldn't be a state. Now, I understand they kind of have a crappy economy and the Senate seats. I don't think that we should, that a reason for us to not want them as a state is because there would be Democratic seats. That's putting politics over, like, who cares what seats there are? I think they should be a state because they basically are at this point. We're just the income tax. They're not being able to vote. They're already U.S. citizens. They can travel. They pay federal taxes. I mean, the territory thing, it seems unnecessary. You know, because like you can't just like I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, why wouldn't they be a state?
I would think
at this point.
At this point, what I would say instead of why wouldn't they be a state is why would they be a state? Like, why are they a territory even?
Exactly.
Almost. I think that I would rather have the United States not just kind of have territories and then make them states and just adding a bunch of random islands to the United States to become states that aren't really assimilated with the mainland, with the United States, with the culture of the United States or the history of it.
Why
I
is
would
Hawaii
rather
a
them
state
just
with
be
that logic, though? Because Hawaii is about as annexed
this is
individual as you can get, and it's still no one's saying that they shouldn't be a state.
Well, it's because it's already said and done at that point, and I mean they were a state for economic and trade reasons in the Pacific. It gives us kind of a good reach over there. But Puerto Rico doesn't really. What does Puerto Rico offer the United States if they become a state, other than debt and?
But you're talking like we're gonna bring somebody into our country. We're not. They're already part of our country. They are U.S. citizens, 100%. Minus voting for some reason, because that's weird. But they're 100% a United States citizen.
Yeah.
And so it seems weird for us to be like, you kind of have a crappy economy, and we know you're one of us, but we really don't want your baggage, so we're just going to keep you off to the side.
Well, the people of Puerto Rico are citizens, but Puerto Rico itself and their economy isn't a responsibility of the United States.
I know, but what I'm saying is the people
and their debt
are.
Isn't. Yeah.
Don't you think the people are a responsibility of the United States?
I mean, I guess so. They're technically U.S. citizens. It's
Right.
weird, but their economy and their country itself isn't.
And they have their own government that is susceptible to ours. Like, they still have to
do certain
adhere
things
to
that
ours,
certain federal.
but they also have a certain amount of independence. It's very bizarre.
Yeah. If it were up to me, honestly, I would, instead of them being a U.S. territory or a state, I would rather them just be their own country that we, have trade deals with and stuff like that. We would obviously still protect them militarily.
So we would just make all of
those.
those people not citizens.
Yes, they would become Puerto Ricans.
Really?
That's what I would like to do. I don't.
You would. So you.
I don't
your
want to
idea
expand
plan would be to
the United States even more. Really, I don't. Not really a fan of that.
But I mean, it's like I principally I'm on board, but at the same time I don't. So like if you had a choice, you would strip them all of their citizenship.
I mean, I would basically say, look, you can either remain a U.S. territory or you can become your own sovereign state, but we're not going to accept you guys in as a state of the United States, I guess.
Okay.
That's what I would be on board for. But like I said, I agree that it's weird that they're U.S. citizens. They use a U.S. passport. They pay certain federal taxes to the United States. They have to adhere by certain regulations, but also they have their own kind of form of government that's unique.
It's weird.
And they can vote in their government elections, but they can't vote in ours. And
But
you know
did you
what I
say
mean?
if they came to our mainland, they could vote in ours?
Then they could, yeah.
It's
And if
so
you went to
weird.
Puerto Rico, then you couldn't vote in the United States, but you could vote in Puerto Rico.
That's so weird.
Yeah, I know.
It's almost like the perfect idea of states' rights, where they are a part of the United States, but then they're their complete own self. And right now, they're kind of doing a poor job of it with their economy and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's kind of this perfect independence thing. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's weird.
Do we have
It's
other
weird.
territories like Puerto Rico? I think Puerto Rico is the biggest one.
It's
isn't
definitely the biggest one. Yeah, there's apparently we have 16 territories, but only 5 are inhabited. Is what I was looking at. So I don't
We
know
have islands.
what else we have.
Okay.
But yeah, there's certain other, like Guam is a U.S. territory. There's certain other U.S. territories, but
There was
Puerto
another
Rico
one I
is
remember
definitely
being
the
talked
biggest one.
about becoming a. I thought I remember being.
I
talked about.
don't like the idea of all of these Caribbean islands and stuff all of a sudden just becoming states.
It seems weird for them to be the individual states because they're so small.
And
but
and it doesn't make sense really, because United States law and what the United States does for people on the mainland is going to be vastly different than what it does for Puerto Ricans. So Puerto Ricans are going to vote for what benefits them most in Puerto Rico, an island in the Caribbean, which could be completely different than what helps the United States mainland. You know what I mean? It's
well, that's
just not
exactly what every state does. I mean,
Yeah, but at
California
least
votes
it's
for themselves.
That's true, but
Hawaii votes
it's
for themselves.
It's connected. It's still the same landmass. It's not in
but
a
Hawaii
completely
isn't,
different.
and Alaska is pretty annexed. You know,
That's true to an extent. I just don't want to add. I don't want to add a bunch of territories that aren't even, that aren't that close to the United States and have completely different cultures.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a
Okay.
fan of it.
That's
but-
interesting. Okay, because I think this is where we're coming down, where you're more conservative than I am. Because I really don't have a problem with it, and I think it would be really cool. Because I don't think geographic location means anything. I mean, it's meaning less and less as society becomes more globalized. Like,
I think
the
you have
distance is kind of
completely-
null.
I think you just have completely different cultures, and I'm not an expert
But
in
you already
Puerto
have
Rico
that.
at all. Yeah, but there's at least you're somewhat assimilated. It would take. I mean, it would cost so much money to have them be a state as well. I mean,
It would.
going in,
I read
redoing
something
all of
where-
their schools, their infrastructures, creating a whole
And we're
government
so good at
organization
schools.
there, plus bailing them out of a $73 billion debt.
which is nothing compared to ours. Like, it really would be a drop in the bucket.
Yeah, but it's adding on to debt that we have.
Yeah,
that we
so I
already
did.
can't
I
afford.
remember I watched it. I was reading an article about it, and I read an article about it, and they were talking about if they became with income tax, we would collect about $9 billion. $9 billion in 2016
Mhm.
is about how much they think we would collect, but that would have to be subtracted from the debt we would have to bring in from them, which was, what'd you say it was? It was 30 something.
Their debt is $73 billion.
73. So it'd
Yeah.
be like 60, whatever that math is, 64.
Nice. Yeah,
So-
yeah, there you go. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. Really, I don't think under this administration.
I don't think anything's
I
going
don't
to
think
happen. I
Congress
don't think
will
our
do anything
Congress
at all.
is going to be like,
Because, like we
on
said,
board.
they already voted back in 2012 to do this. Anyways.
Yeah, which is weird.
But it's interesting, and I think it's something to at least keep an eye on and look at.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely do. I'm gonna do more. I'm gonna want to do more research into it because I want to. Like, I kind of want to
Understand
understand
the
better how this
citizenship.
became a thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it kind of.
Well, we
You
won
said
it
it was the 1800s, right? When we
in
got them?
1898. Yeah, after the end of the Spanish-American War. So we won the war, and I guess they were just like, okay, take Puerto Rico, or we bought it from them or something.
Okay.
for
Because
some
then I
reason.
feel like it was just over time. They were like, well, we're kind of a part of you guys. So then they kind of just gave them piecemeal pieces of the American
Exactly.
life, like,
Okay.
all
Well,
right, you're a
maybe you're a
citizen.
citizen now. Here's a passport, by the way.
But you can't vote.
But you can't
and,
vote. No income
yeah.
tax, though. I mean, that kind of offsets a little. If I didn't have, to
I don't
pay
think they're
income
making.
tax.
Are they making a lot of income in Puerto Rico though?
Their GDP is actually somewhat decent. I think it's like
Okay.
103 billion,
Oh dang,
which is,
All right.
I mean, decent.
decent
but
for sure.
It's not 17 trillion. Anyways,
This is true. It's also not 50 states.
that's true.
Uh,
All right, so what you got, man?
yeah. So kind of not even related at all. I don't know how I was gonna make that relate. What I want to talk about is last week there kind of became this uproar over these pictures and videos that came out of what looked like CNN. I believe it was CNN, NBC, not NBC, MSNBC, and a couple other news stations. What looked like that they were staging not protests, but staging
Support marches, rallies.
yeah, like Muslim marches. They had these pictures in these news they did a newscast of like this video of these Muslim women and Muslim people holding up signs saying like, "We're with you, London." Love, Muslims for love, I think was maybe one. They had like a hashtag and they had flowers, and they kind of were trying to show that like real Muslims or not radical Muslims despise what happened in London, and I am sure they do. And that's not what we're talking about. But what kind of came to light was there's these pictures and videos that popped up because everyone has a cell phone now, of what looked like the fact that they staged this support march or whatever. And I want to kind of talk about it because once more information came forward, CNN of course denied it and said that they didn't stage it, but they simply moved all these women from one place to one that like had better lighting and was a better shot and was better for their news. And so what I wanted to kind of talk about is what your thought is on that. Is it okay for them to like, basically they kind of made up what they showed, but the idea they claim wasn't theirs that they made up. Like these women were there to show support. They just weren't where they showed them and everything. And so,
and did they have, I think we were talking earlier and you said something about how CNN gave them like some of the props.
So you can also see, so you can also see in this video here, this another video that came out, this came out a couple of days ago, of what looks like them passing out flowers to these women and also handing them the signs they were holding. So I honestly don't know whether or not this is fake news. It's really hard to tell, but I 100% think that this is just a bad idea, and them not being transparent about it, of what they were doing, and then kind of having to play defense when it kind of popped up looks horrible, especially when no one trusts them anyway. And so, I don't know, like
I agree. I think the second I think the reporter was Anderson. I think that was her name or something like that. But she was saying, if you actually watched it live, there were video clips of it. She was saying these women on the streets of London protesting this, and it's like, no, they weren't on the streets here because you moved them all here. You put them in this collected position. You framed it in. You gave them flowers to hold. Did they give them signs? I don't know if they gave them signs.
It's hard to tell. Like
it's hard to tell. So you be the judge of that. Look into it. But if you're doing this, if you're positioning them where they are and you're giving them signs and you're altering what they were originally doing, and then during your report you say this is just it's very heavily implied they just happened upon this, and this is just what was going on. And that's what you would assume unless told otherwise, because that's how the situation is naturally handled.
And they've come out and said that this has been this is how they do it. Like this is how news has been doing it for years. And that's a little scary too.
If that's true, it's like, okay, that's fine. If that's how you guys have always been doing, but that's still not really good practice.
It seems disingenuous to me.
No, I totally agree. I think it's very misleading. I think CNN knew that, and the second they got caught, they were like, "Well, look, other news organizations do it all the time."
We've always done this.
Yeah, that doesn't make it any better, though.
No. And I do want to say though, everyone calling fake news and stuff. I personally, I mean, this is one of those ones where we don't know there's not going to be a fact about this. It's going to be up to you to kind of decide what you want to think. And I don't think that they made up the whole protest, but I do think that it was heavily altered. I don't think this is fake
and that
news.
That should be a disclaimer in their reporting, or in the article that they wrote. Like, hey, we gathered these people were already on the streets. We gathered them together in a more concise location where we could film this, and we gave them flowers to hold. I don't know, whatever it may be, it should be in there so that the people are aware of it and they can see and actually know what's going on, rather than just thinking, oh, this reporter was walking down the street and happened upon these Muslim women.
It's just bad, and
it doesn't look good, especially when people distrust them so much already.
Right? Like, come on, CNN. Like, you had to figure that, like, they took up basically a whole street. So you had to figure, I mean, someone was going to see a picture, post a video of it. Why wouldn't you come up forward and, like, be honest about it up front,
Yeah, and I think CNN has doubled down on it, saying that this is stuff that always happens, like you kind of said, and that they didn't do anything wrong. They didn't do any kind of fake news or anything like that. And to call it fake news, I don't know if I would say that once again. But like I said, people don't really know if they staged the entire thing, if they staged some of it, if they just moved the people there who were already there, or if they gathered some people together. You don't really know. And when this kind of stuff comes out, then it makes you even more skeptical of them. a media site who you already don't trust initially
at all.
So yeah, I don't think it's good journalism. I don't think it's good practice. Like I said, they should have had a disclaimer in their video or in the article that they released. That's what I think they should have done. And then when they got caught afterwards, they should have come out and said, look, this isn't fake news. We weren't, promulgating a fake narrative. However, we should have had a disclaimer in there to show our viewers that, or to tell our viewers that. That's
because it just feels dishonest. And I kind of want to just like leave it with something that Philip DeFranco said on it that I thought was really good. And it was, so like CNN and stuff are going for polish, right? They wanted to move them into a better shot, better lighting, whatever. And it's like, people don't want polish. They want texture. They want what's real, because polish is like fluffy. What do you know? Texture, though, the idea of like, if they did just find them and there was bad lighting or bad placement, like I think that would have been more, that would have actually
more
spoken
raw,
a lot better.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's why people are like, live streaming has become such a thing. You'll see people start live streaming while something's happening, and it's like you get this sense that you're there and that this is actually real, and you don't get this sense of, wow, this shot looks amazing. I wonder if they staged it.
Exactly. It's like, are they framed perfectly? No, people don't care about that as much anymore. You know
real
what I mean?
life
It's much
isn't
more
framed
about
perfectly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I think that's definitely an interesting story, kind of.
Yep.
And if media sites do that kind of stuff all the time, then that would explain a lot about why people distrust them so much.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, that is going to wrap up our main topic this week, and of course, we're going to move right into what triggered us this week. All right, guys, we are moving into the final segment of this week's Peanut Gallery podcast and every week's Peanut Gallery podcast. This, of course, is the What Triggered Us This Week. This is where we replace all reasonable and rational thinking with only emotion. And Seth, what got you triggered, man?
Dude, all right. So this might be
the biggest crime,
the biggest uproar of the year.
I'm ready for it.
Dude, this got me so mad, man. No. So mine is kind of a dumb story, and I'm probably going to come off maybe a little snowflakey, and it's more of a joke than anything, and that I can't believe this guy actually did this. But a food critic by the name of Ryan Sutton from Eater.com did a review of Chick-fil-A. And I don't know if you notice, I love Chick-fil-A so much. I'm the biggest Chick-fil-A supporter. I just love Chick-fil-A. They're so good. The food's amazing. The service is incredible. Like, if you don't have Chick-fil-A near you, I'm sorry, your life is kind of less awesome than mine because you don't have it near you. But no, this guy, his food critic. Now, this is a food critic, right? What's his job? His job is to review food for other people.
That would make sense.
Right? That would make sense. But what he did was he said that you shouldn't eat at Chick-fil-A for political reasons. And he somehow managed, I didn't think was possible, he managed to tie in, I guess it makes sense that it was possible because they said it, but he tied in the fact that they don't support gay marriage, in that the owner of Chick-fil-A came out, the creator of Chick-fil-A, he has since passed away, but the creator of Chick-fil-A, and I think the whole company now has come out and said that it's a Christian company and they're for Christian values, and so they don't necessarily support gay marriage. But they have also said that following an uproar from those comments a couple years ago, they came out and said on Facebook to leave the policy debate over same-sex marriage to the government and the political arena, and that they will treat everybody with honor, dignity, respect, regardless of sexual orientation. So that's what Chick-fil-A said. They said they were not really for gay marriage. We're a Christian company. We're more for traditional marriage. Everyone freaked out, obviously. Then they're like, all right, listen, that's fine. We're going to treat everyone the same regardless of our personal beliefs. It was never really a question. They never did treat them any worse or different.
It's Chick-fil-A. They treat everyone with a freaking huge smile.
Dude, they're amazing. And this guy now, what is this, like 3 years later? When did that uproar happen? That was years ago.
2012, I remember, yeah.
2013. Or no, yeah, okay, 2012, yeah. So that happened five years ago. Wow, 5 years ago. And so now this guy put up this food critic and he starts slamming them for their gay marriage ideas. And it's like, dude, your job is to review food. Why does everything have to be so political these days?
I know, man.
He never said that he was treated differently because he was for gay marriage. He never said that there was any like his food wasn't any worse. Like his experience, the people didn't treat him differently. Like nothing that has to do with your job is connected to the fact that they don't support gay marriage. What are you doing? Why would you make this article like that? I don't understand.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely insane, dude. And just to like when that happened in 2012, it was a personal interview with Dan Cathy where he was asked what his view was on gay marriage. It's not like Chick-fil-A held this press conference and was like, "Hey, by the way, we support this." It was the owner and the CEO asked a question and he answered according to his beliefs.
Right, which is like the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
Apparently, well, as we'll find out in Your Triggered Me.
I think his score is the worst thing in the world.
Dude, also, what the heck? He gave the waffle fries a 3 out of 10,
That's
bro.
insane. This guy's insane, man.
And he only gave the chicken sandwich a 6 out of 10. You are out of your mind. That thing is a 9 out of 10 on a bad day and a 10 out of 10 on every other day. Dude, this guy, man, I think he should have his food license revoked.
What was this? Eater.com?
Eater.com, dude.
Wow. That's insane, dude. That's insane.
3 out of 10 for the waffle.
Yeah,
waffle fries are so good.
Politicizing.
I would probably give the
dude.
waffle fries like a 7 or 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
Chicken sandwich is definitely a 9 or a 10. I don't understand.
Yeah, the waffle fries are solid, but they're not the best fries out there. But the chicken sandwich, dude, the chicken sandwich is freaking good. And if you put some sauce on there, everything is a freaking 10 out of 10. Dude. Seriously. So, I mean,
I'm going to have to go get some Chick-fil-A after this, dude. So yeah, just basically, why does everything have to be politicized nowadays, especially when it has absolutely nothing to do with what you were doing? He was reviewing food. Tell us what you think of the food, and no one cares. Of course, Twitter freaked out on him and was like, I can't believe this guy did this, and rightfully so, I think.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I think Chick-fil-A has a lot of supporters, so this isn't going to hurt them or anything like
that
that by any means. It's just insane that this guy's an idiot.
Yeah.
But speaking of idiots...
dude, jeez.
I got good old Bernie Sanders again, man. I love this guy.
Feel the burn.
Feel the burn. So this happened during a Senate hearing. Russell Vought was nominated to become the deputy director of the White House Office Management and Budget, right? Okay. So he has to be confirmed by the Senate in order to have that position. And this is a little bit of the hearing. Bernie Sanders starts to ask him and question him about an article that he wrote a while ago that he wrote based on his Christian beliefs. So here's how that exchange went.
And that is in the piece that I referred to that you wrote for a publication called Resurgent. You wrote, Muslims do not simply have a deficient theology. They do not know God because they have rejected Jesus Christ, his son, and they stand condemned. End of quote. Do you believe that statement is Islamophobic?
Absolutely not, Senator. I'm a Christian, and I believe in a Christian set of principles based on my faith. That post, as I stated in the questionnaire to this committee, was to defend my alma mater, Wheaton College, a Christian school that has a statement of faith that includes the centrality of Jesus Christ for salvation. And
again, I apologize. Forgive me. We just don't have a lot of time. Do you believe that people in the Muslim religion stand condemned? Is that your view?
Again, Senator, I'm a Christian, and I wrote that piece.
Well, what does that say?
The statement of faith of Wheaton
I
College.
understand that. I don't know how many Muslims there are in America. I really don't know. Probably a couple of million. Are you suggesting that all of those people stand condemned? What about Jews? They stand condemned too?
Senator, I'm a Christian.
I understand you are a Christian, but this country is made up of people who are not just. I understand that Christianity is the majority religion, but there are other people who have different religions in this country and around the world. In your judgment, do you think that people who are not Christians are going to be condemned?
Thank you for probing on that question. As a Christian, I believe that all individuals are made in the image of God and are worthy of dignity and respect regardless of their religious beliefs. I believe that as a Christian, that's how I should treat all individuals.
And do you think your statement that you put into that publication, they do not know God because they've rejected Jesus Christ the Son and they stand condemned, do you think that's respectful of other religions?
Senator, I wrote a post based on being a Christian and attending a Christian school that has a statement of faith that speaks clearly with regard to the centrality of Jesus Christ in salvation.
I would simply say, Mr. Chairman, that this nominee is really not someone with what this country is supposed to be about. I will vote no.
All right, so first off, Bernie Sanders is a freaking jerk, dude. He
Dude,
raises his oh my gosh, dude, my blood would be boiling. That guy held it together. Although I feel like he could have done better, he at least remained poised, which is good. But clearly Bernie Sanders has no understanding of how any of the major religions in the world work at all.
Or our Constitution.
Or our Constitution, yeah. So the Constitution clearly states that no religious test shall be applied. It says in Article 6, says, quote, no religious test shall ever be required as a qualification to any office or public trust under the United States. Bam. So you see him saying, oh, you think other people will be condemned? I have to vote no. That's not what this country is about. No, okay. One, any Christian who abides by the faith believes that Jesus Christ is the only way to heaven. So anyone who doesn't believe that is condemned. Yes. In Islam, if you don't believe that Allah is the one and holy God, whatever, you're not going to heaven either. You're condemned. Actually, that's not even the only way to really go to heaven in Islam is to die in holy war. Fun fact. Judaism, same thing. So like, that's just how religions work. And this guy even went out of his way to say, look, like, I mean, this is what I believe as a Christian. However, I treat everyone. It's basically the same thing with dignity, honor, respect, blah, blah, blah. That's not going to play a role in that. But Bernie Sanders is just relentless, man.
With his logic, you can't be religious.
You can't be. You can't be religious
and then
at all.
that is the antithesis of what this country is formed on. This country isn't formed on no religion.
Yeah.
It's formed on follow whatever you want as long as it doesn't affect someone else's
freedom of
their
religion.
values.
Exactly. Yeah. And Bernie
Bernie's
Sanders
such an
just drives
idiot,
me
dude.
insane, dude. This
Gosh.
guy's absolutely insane. He
He
has
can
no
be an
knowledge and
idiot.
understanding of these religions. It's baffling to me, really, because I mean, so many politicians and stuff like that claim to be Christians and hold religious values or whatever religion it is. And if they answered honestly, if they really believed it, then they would say, yes, we believe
Yep.
that.
It's like you can be a Christian as long as you don't actually believe it.
As
can
long as
say
you
it,
don't
we'll
believe
let you
it.
say it.
Exactly. As
Yeah.
long as you're totally fine with, homosexuality, or you're totally fine with these things, like, yeah, you can say Jesus is God, but if you hold any of the viewpoints that the Bible, says Christians should hold, then no, it doesn't count anymore.
Dude, also, I'm so tired of Islamophobic. I am so tired of that word. He is not like a phobia. He's not like scared of Islamic people. That's not what he said at all.
I know. And to say that just because they don't know God, that's Islamophobic? I mean, come on, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
Tired of it.
anyways, Bernie Sanders, great guy.
Ending on a high note.
Yeah, drives me insane. All right, guys. Well, that is going to wrap up this week's Peanut Gallery podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. Like we said, if you like this video, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Be sure and check us out on iTunes, Google Play, and SoundCloud. You can listen to the audio podcast there. Leave us a review. That really helps us out. Until we see you guys again next week, always remember, stay informed.